Hey everyone, welcome back to Sports Talk. I'm John Girardi, sports editor here at the Williamsport Sun-Gazette, alongside Chris Massey as usual. Getting into the winter sports season, basketball started, and kind of some stuff to get into right away. Let's talk about the boys basketball. I mean, last week Muncie boys won and gave Jason Gresh the record for the program's all-time wins record. A great accomplishment for him and what he's been able to do at his tenure there at Muncie.
Yeah, he's now the girls' soccer and boys basketball all-time wins leader there, so he's trying to corner the market. He's got a ways to go to catch Crisperson in baseball. Not that Gresh has never coached baseball, but if he did, he'd have to get over 200 wins to try to catch that. But yeah, that's a great accomplishment. It makes me feel old because I think he was an underclassman at Muncie when I first started working here, so now he's the all-time wins leader. But yeah, I mean, he's done an amazing job since he took over, and he's got a team this year that's poised to build on what they've done the last few years, and they're just well schooled. It's kind of reminds me of Normandale a little bit, and the Hickory Huskers he's not as demanding. I don't think demanding in his own way. He's not going to punch a kid like Normandale did at Ithaca College before he was redeemed and came to Hickory. I'm going way off the rails right now, but he's done a great job, and he's got a good team coming back this year. They got a good win the other night over South, and I think they're poised for more success.
And he's the type of player too, or coach too, that no matter how many people graduate and whatnot, he always gets the best out of what he has on his roster. I mean, he's shown it with when he took the girls soccer program over, turning them from a team that maybe would eke in the playoffs every 6 years or so to being in the Final Four. And obviously in basketball, every year they're always in the playoff picture and vying for a title.
Yeah, I think his first full season, he coached the last two games of the 2010 season and went 2-0. But that team was like 3-17 before that, and he could have retired and said, "I got the greatest winning percentage ever at Muncie," but he kept going. And the next year they were in the playoffs. A few years later, I think 2 years later they were in the state tournament. So yeah, and like you said, I think he does get the most out of him. You can tell the kids like playing for him, and they give him I think they give him their all. And, the results speak for themselves, and he's got a good team this year, and with some good underclassmen there too. So I think. He's built a program, I guess is the best way of saying it. It's just not a team where he gets a good class every now and then. He's built it up so that when they do graduate, there's a next group ready to take over.
Exactly. We're going to, the season kind of is in its infancy here. So we're going to look at your boys and girls preseason top 5 teams and kind of look at them and what's in store for the season. Let's start on the boys' side. Warrior Run, 21-8 last year, best season in the 2000s. But they bring back, I believe, 4 starters from last year's team, so they got a lot to build off to keep that to kind of keep that run going and build off that momentum.
Yeah, and they're They won 2 games in convincing fashion in their first 2 down at the Milton tournament. They were heavy favorites in those games. I think they'll have a good test Saturday against Jersey Shore. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, they're loaded. Aiden McKee, second team All-State last year, and 2 double-doubles at the Milton tournament. He's the hub of everything that they do, but James Kiefer is one of the better point guards around. Landon Paulsine's a 3-year starter who does a little bit of everything for them. Ethan Bowser's a kid to watch. He had trying to think off my top of my head, I think he had 24 and 11 in the opener against who did they play in the opener? Well, it doesn't matter. He had 24 and 11 in that game. I'm all over the details here. It'll come to me. It'll come to me when I'm sleeping tonight. But it was Northwest. No, it wasn't Northwest. Anyway, we'll come back to that. He's poised for, I think, a breakout season, and they've got some good kids coming off the bench. Carter McCormick, Cooper Skokoski. So, yeah, they're poised for another big season. They haven't won district since 1988. They got super close last year in the district final. So I think it's district championship or bust for them. But, it's also a tough field with Southern Columbia, Mifflinburg, Loyalsock, and teams like that. Mm-hmm. But they're poised to build on what they did last year.
Yeah. And that kind of goes on to my next point. I was going to say, do you feel they have to be kind of one of the favorites to claim district gold this year?
Yeah, I think Southern finished 3rd last year. They're going to be tough. Troy's the defending champion, but I think they're still going to be good. But they lost some great players from that team. Mm-hmm. So I would say as of now, Warrior Run, Southern, Mifflinburg's really good, and I think Loyal Sock's a team to watch too. So those are four of the favorites, I would say. Tawana, I think you could throw in there, but yeah, to answer your question, they're in that. They're definitely in the title picture.
Yeah, you had Williamsport number 2 in your power rankings, and you mentioned in your preseason power rankings, you mentioned they were 10-13, but this is kind of based off what they had the potential to do, not based necessarily off last year. Just you mentioned in it about how they're one of the area's youngest teams, but they have a lot of potential to kind of do something this year.
Yeah, they it's a shame Zion Hughes had a really good sophomore year and had a stupor off season, and then he tore his ACL in the off season. They're hoping he might be back by late January or so. If he comes back, that would be huge for them.
Definitely.
Because without him right now, Tevin Williams is a sophomore who had a great freshman season. He's one of their more experienced players as a sophomore. Nazir Lowe at point guard, he's probably the most experienced player. But yeah, Mekhi Gaston's a freshman. I think that's a kid that's got unlimited potential. He's 6'5" right now as a freshman, and he can handle the ball too. So that's a kid to watch. Salim Overton, unfortunately, he's another freshman, and I think was poised to do good things. He got hurt last night. They're not sure about that. But sophomore Aiden Edwards came in and scored 9 points off the bench in a big win over Crestwood. So, yeah, they just have a lot. Kason Ulmer's a junior, but this is his first time playing significant varsity action. He's going to be a threat inside. Ethan Chilson is a senior, but he's basically a sophomore because he missed the last 2 years with knee injuries. So, yeah, they're 2-2 right now. One of those losses was by 2 points at Shamokin. The other one was against Hazleton. They were up in the fourth quarter in that one. They've won 2 close games, so I think they're going to be a lot better once this group gets a lot of time playing together. So if they keep progressing and they get Hughes back, I think they have a chance to make some noise in District 2.
And I feel like those close, tough wins are the ones where you kind of find out what your team's about, as opposed to the blowout ones where you just cruise over someone.
Absolutely, yeah. And they beat Berwick in the opener with 20 seconds ago. Lowe hit a couple of foul shots last night. They won in overtime on the road. So yeah, those are great. Alan Taylor doesn't have hair. If he did, he'd probably be losing it in those close games, but he also knows that those games are going to build the character and help the team grow.
Exactly. Lewisburg at number 3. They have a good core back as well, and coming off a 14-9 season, they got Cooper Mowry, Nazir Meredith, Cortland Michaels, and a few others back. Just talking about just having that kind of core back for an offense, what that means for them.
Yeah, they look really good. I saw them at Jersey Shore the other night, and they played fantastic. They look good inside-outside game. Michaels he's a freshman, and that kid's you'll be hearing his name a lot. He dazzled, is it? It reminds me of White Man Can't Jump, where you look at Woody Harrelson, and he's they thought that guy stinks, and then he comes in there and he just starts balling, and that's. Cortland Michaels is probably about 5'6" and really skinny right now, but he put him on the court and he looks like a giant with what he can do, his vision, his passing ability, his shooting ability. And then they've got Nazir Meredith inside. He's a tank in the middle. Rabira Jamana, he's tough inside. You mentioned Mowry. He's one of the better shooters around. Leon Tucker, or LJ Tucker, a sophomore. He had 24 against Jersey Shore. He's a swing man that can do a little bit of everything. So, yeah, they've got a real nice package there. And Mowry got injured against Jersey Shore. They don't think it's anything serious, but if they're healthy, they're going to be tough to beat.
And it seems like the boxes that come in, it seems like every night they almost have a different guy kind of leading the pack scoring, which is nice. I'm sure for them, for coaching standpoint, they're happy too that they don't have to rely on one guy to carry the team every night.
They love it, and they have Meredith is tough inside. You focus on him, it opens up the perimeter, and vice versa. Mowry, Tucker, Michaels, they can all shoot it. You focus on that, then that opens up the middle. So it's kind of pick your poison with them.
Montoursville won 11-12 last year. Mike Musina's back to coach them. Obviously, he did a phenomenal job his first go around there. Do you think he, with them just being just above 500 last year, with him coming back, he'll be able to kind of get them back to kind of putting up those wins that he kind of did when he was there the first go?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a great group to work with. He's got 4 starters back from that team, and they're 2-1 right now going in. They're probably going to be 3-1 after they play Midwest tonight. And the one loss was I don't want to say a good loss, but it was a close loss at Mifflinburg by 2 points. And the foul shooting discrepancy in that game was 30-5 in favor of Mifflinburg. I wasn't there. I can't validate, but if you only lose by 2 on the road with that kind of discrepancy, I think that's an encouraging sign going forward. They, like we just said about Lewisburg, Kingston Fishers, he's tough inside, but they've got great shooters and Shea Ulmer, Elijah Ack. Brennan Imbro's pretty good inside. Cam Cintron is having a breakout season so far. He had 18 points the other night at Shikellamy. So, yeah, they're definitely in the mix in the 4A picture. 4A is pretty balanced, but they've got a good chance to be a contender there.
Going back to sticking with 4A, I should say. Jersey Shore last year, solid turnaround season. More wins, I believe, last year than the previous 4 combined. Is that correct? Yeah. So, great job getting that around. They don't have Ben Dalton, but they do have talent back to build off what they did last year and kind of make another playoff run.
Man, they're deep. I've seen them twice. Yeah, I've seen them twice so far, and I've got them again tomorrow night at Warrior Run, which should be a good game. They don't have Dalton was a big kid, and they don't have a lot of height, but. I mean, they just fight so hard. They're so scrappy and tenacious. They fly around the court. They've got a lot of different ways, a lot of different kids that can step up. Like we said about Lewisburg and Montoursville, it's going to be a different kid a lot of different nights for Jersey Shore because they've got a lot of different – got some good shooters, got some guys that go to the basket. They got some guys that even though they might be undersized for post players, they make really good post moves. So – I think the team is shooting for the stars as they should, but I think John Boob said the other night he doesn't want them to get distraught when they lose a game like they did against Lewisburg the other night. He wants them to understand that leap from 1 win to 13 wins is easier than going from the middle of the pack to trying to be a champion. It's going to be a grind, and but they're going in the right direction. I think John Boob's done a great job with them. And, yeah, that 4A field is really loaded, and they're another team in the mix.
Yeah, that'll be interesting when we come playoffs and districts about the 4A field break. Yeah. And, last one for boys to break down, to talk about, Loyalsock, obviously – Coach Insinger stepped down after 51 years. Ryan Chofie taking over, and rumor has it he signed a 51-year coaching deal there. That's the rules there at Lowell's.
You're in it for the long haul when you sign a contract there to coach boys basketball. He did. Ron Insinger was helping work the clock last Friday when Loyalsock got its first win for Ryan Chofie, and he joked with Insinger afterward. He's like, I only have 1,152 to go to catch him.
I mean, obviously big shoes there for him to take over, but I mean, I feel like there's plenty for him with that team to kind of build this year and kind of get back to, because obviously last year was a bit of a down year in terms of Loyalsock standard, but they're, I think they have the pieces to do some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they were super young last year. They only had one kid really coming back with any kind of varsity experience, and now they would stunk going through it for them. But the bonus was that they're all back now, and they all have that experience. And they've got 2 wins over Wellsboro. They went to Danville the other night and beat them. And so, yeah, I think this is a team that could be a sleeper in that 3A field because they're pretty well-rounded. They're not very deep. They go about 6, 7. But I think all of them have pretty much scored double digits so far, so they can all kind of go. It helps when they don't have that guy that if you go he has an off night, we're in trouble because they have somebody there to help pick up the slack. So they're going to be dangerous. They got some shooters. Sayaz Jones had 8 blocks against Wellsboro, so he can be an eraser inside. And I like the way they're trending right now. And they only have 1 senior in Jaleel Coates, so I think the future and present are bright for him.
Exactly. Sticking with Loyalsock, obviously the girls coming off a state championship season. Do you feel like they have how much pressure do you feel like they kind of have on themselves, and do you feel like they have like kind of a target on their back every time they go out on the court?
Yeah, I mean, they're not hiding from anybody. Everybody knows who they are now, especially Elena Dadsey being the reigning player of the year. Unfortunately, Jillian Kennedy suffered a knee injury last Friday in their opener. I think they find out today the severity of that. Fingers crossed. It's a girl that tore ACL as a sophomore, came back and had a great junior season, and started for the state champions. She was having a great game in the opener against Montoursville with 18 points. So fingers crossed there. It's been a rough year for injuries all around. Hopefully no more. We've had enough injuries to last the next 10 years. But I'm getting off the subject there. But if they don't have her, they're going to need some young players to step up ASAP and try to take some pressure off Elena Dazzi, because, they're going to be double, triple teaming her and doing whatever they can to slow her down. But Curtis Jacobson does a great job with them. They've got a gauntlet of a schedule coming up here in the next week and a half. But if they can, navigate that, keep progressing like they usually do, I think they'll be right in the hunting districts again. And as long as you have a coaching staff like they do, and you have a player like Dadsy to build around, I don't think they're a favorite or anything like that in AAA this year in States. But with the experience, you never know. You get in there in the States, and anything can happen.
Yep, exactly. Going to Hughesville, 23-5 last year, won districts, 47 wins the last 2 years. Just what do you feel has been the key for these last 2 years for them in terms of that success?
Kind of like I said about Jersey Shore boys, they're just relentless competitors, and they're talented, they're deep, they're well-rounded. They have a lot of different ways they can beat you too. But yeah, I've seen them twice in their first 3 games, and they just fight so hard. They're relentless on the boards. They get in your face on defense, and Maddie Smith, I think, is the one that makes them go. She's even better than she was her first 2 years. She's a guard, but she had some really nice post moves against in their win last week against Schuylkill Haven. So I think they're still progressing. They lost Allie Anstotten, Ava Snyder, 2 huge losses. They were 4-year starters, but they have a good core that's eager to replace them. And all 7 players in that rotation really stepped up against Schuylkill Haven. That was a team that won 24 games last year, so that was a great sign for them. So, Hughesville's, I think if they keep progressing too, they're going to be tough to beat this year.
Yeah, and you mentioned Maddie Smith within striking distance of reaching 1,000 for a career for point-wise, so she's kind of that milestone alert for her for this season, possibly getting that.
And only as a junior.
Yeah, even more impressive. Going to Lewisburg, they were 3 in your preseason, I believe. 4, I believe. 19-7. They lost Maddie Moyers last year, but they have a solid nucleus returning, which you kind of mentioned in your preview. Do you feel like they're going to be in the title picture a bit in Class 4A?
They could. They're another team that, unfortunately, Moyers, as you said, she's out for the season, and then they've got Tegan O'Sunday, who's another all-star. She's probably out till probably January at least. She's battling an injury right now, so if they get her back and navigate things without her, then I think they'll be in that mix in 4A. But right now, Brent Sample's playing about 5 freshmen, and they look nowhere. I mean, when I looked at them last year, I was like, wow, they've got Maddie Moyers and Tegan O'Sunday and Ava Motto, and they've got Addie Shedleski. They got 4 starters coming back, and they're going to be really good. And unfortunately, injuries happen, and now it's just a new look team that I think these freshmen are going to be good ones, but they're freshmen right now, and they're gonna have some growing pains. So. If they can get healthy, I think Central Columbia is the clear team to beat in 4A. I think they're going to be a juggernaut, but that race for number 2 is wide open, and I think if they get O'Sunday back, Lewisburg's got as much chance as anybody there.
Yep. Muncie, number 3 on your list. They reached the Class AA quarterfinals, won districts, but you mentioned about that they had to replace Addie Iyer and Addie Gresh. But obviously there's players back. You got Ava Iyer, Anna Zalonis, Alexis Makita. Makita, She, in your last story, you mentioned about how she kind of did everything, hustled nonstop. When you have a work ethic like that in a player, I feel like that's contagious for the rest of the team.
Oh, it is, and just like I said about Hughesville, like this team's they're gonna fight you, no matter what. It doesn't matter what the score is. You saw it in soccer. Most of these kids played soccer too, and they're just fighters. Their offense is struggling right now, but when they've allowed 58 points in 3 games, so they make scoring against them really tough. And the way they rebound, the way they play defense, they make it hard. They kind of make life miserable for you. And defense travels. I mean, they could have bad offensive. You're going to have bad offensive nights, but if they keep playing defense the way they are, you're allowing less than 20 points a game. You got a good chance to win a lot of games, so they're going to be dangerous too.
Yeah, I was going to say, this past week you covered them against South, and they held South to 14?
27-14.
Yeah, so I mean, when you think, okay, they're scoring 27, they're probably not going to win that. But then it's like, all right, their defense, they're holding a team to 14, so you have to be, like you said, defensively, they have to be happy with how well they're playing.
And spoiler alert, you can read about Muncie's defense in Monday's girls basketball column about their defense. But yeah, I mean, it's like the 85 Bears right now in terms of, or the 84 Niners. Forget the Bears. The 84 Niners were better.
That's not true.
Yeah, they were better. They were, because they could play offense too. As they told the Bears offense when they were leaving the field after they destroyed them in the NFC Championship in 1984, bring an offense next time. But I digress. They've got a defense like the 84 Niners, and they were 15-1 that year. Now, granted, they had one of the greatest offenses ever too, so Muncie's a work in progress there. But again, I'm going off the rails here. But that's why Muncie's a 2-time defending district champion, and it's on the strength of their defense and being able to take teams out of their comfort zone and make life miserable for them. And it's a lunch pail team, and as my good friend Donnie Collins once told Andy Krebs before a wrestling match that they had, when you play Muncie, bring a lunch, because it's going to be a long day.
And then last year to go over Canton, 17-10 last year. One of the area's most improved teams, though, they reached states for the first time since 2000. How motivated do you feel those girls are to build off that and get back to states?
I think they're excited. They only lost. It's one of those deals where you say they only lost one player, but that one player was a 1,000-point scorer in Kendall Kitchen, and she was absolutely huge in helping them do what they did last year. So that's a big loss. But you have all those girls back that now have a taste of some big time success. So they're really excited about what they can do. Kaylin Van Noy, I think, is one of the better all around players in the area. They kind of have her as a player to build around, and Stella Rockwell had 16 points against Liberty last Saturday. They've got a lot of nice pieces there, and Double A. It was competitive. It was wide open last year with Muncie, Northeast Bradford, Northwest is in there. Southern Columbia is going to be tough, and Canton in there. I think all 5 of those teams are legitimate title contenders. And so Canton's got a good chance to maybe take the next step after taking a huge forward one last year.
Yeah. Last team to go over here, Montoursville, they went 4-18 last year, but, Travis Heap's back to coach. He was there when they won a district title in 2017, I believe it was, which was their first since 2000, correct? Yeah. So obviously he knows what it takes to get a team to win a title. Do you think having him back is good in terms of them kind of getting back on the right path in terms of those wins and getting closer to double-digit wins again?
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job the first time around. He's got, he was at Penn College for a while as an assistant coach, so I think that only strengthened his coaching resume. I think he brings a wealth of knowledge there. I think he can relate to the kids well. He was a standout player at Montoursville, so I think he can relate to them pretty well. Again, that's a team with 3 starters back from last year. And 4A, like I said, it's Central Columbia, and then everybody else fighting for 2. And I think Montoursville's got as much a chance as anybody in that race for number 2. And Emily George is a great athlete. Marley Bainbridge is an exciting sophomore. Kaylee Shelleman's an all-state softball player going to UMass for softball, but she's really good in the post too. So they have some good pieces there. From what I hear, their junior high is pretty stacked. So I think they're starting to build something pretty good there.
It'll be interesting when districts roll around to see how some of these fields shake out with the talent and whatnot.
I think there's a lot of balance. I think there's, in Class A girls, Lourdes is the clear front runner. I think they're a legitimate state title contender, and then that race for 2 is why we talked about Double A. I think Sauk, Hughesville are the teams beating Triple A, but there's always other teams lurking there, like four. So it's top heavy, I guess, is the best way of saying it. And, it's interesting to see what teams will rise to kind of try to knock off those contenders.
Yep. All right. Well, that'll do it for us on sports talk. You got any closing?
No, I was the other night because that South Muncie game was low scoring. I was throwing out a lot of random Niner scores.
As you're one to do.
And I can't. But Ben Burgandy asked me because I said it was 25-12 at one point, and I said the Bears beat the Packers 25-12 in Week 3 of 1986 on Monday Night Football. If people were wondering, and again, I'm not a Bears fan, but I just remember it. And he said, how'd the Niners do that week? Like, are you serious? You don't think they beat the Saints 26-17? Come on, with Jeff Kemp at quarterback because Montano had back surgery.
If only there was a way for you to make money off that.
Oh man, I know.
Because your knowledge of random scores is something.
I can tell you what the weather was like that day. Random stats from that game. Whether I yelled at my brother because he was trying to antagonize me that day. That's we gotta get going, but it was Christmas Eve one year, and I was freaking out about the Niners, and he told me to grow up, and I said, I'm gonna kick your bleep bleep, and my mom said, come on, it's Christmas Eve.
That wasn't when you threw the football at her, right?
No, that was when I was 8 years old. No, and I got sent to bed early that night. And that was stupid because, it was stupid that I threw a football at my mom. But B, it was the Niners were 14-1. It was a Friday night game. It was meaningless. They had already wrapped up everything there was to wrap up, and I was 8 years old. I didn't know the difference, and you live and learn.
Exactly.
But the Niners won that game 19-16, if you were wondering.
And that's what we'll leave you with, folks.